Pregame.com.
Most pros actually prefer betting conference tournament action and find more value than the big dance. This is Brad Powers, Pregame.com studios, just off the Vegas Strip. March Madness just right around the corner, but before the big dance, we got some conference tournament betting tips for you. And Fez, where do you really like to attack the market when it comes to conference tournaments?
I like to go ahead and attack select unders, especially in these early conference tournaments. And the reason that I oftentimes like the unders, it's the neutral sites. As it turns out, if you played every neutral site game under in college basketball, you're looking at a subset that hits at more than 50%, and it makes a lot of sense. You've got kids coming in, unfamiliar backdrops in terms of where they're shooting, and it takes time to get used to that. So you will typically see there'll be at least a few games in these conference tournaments where you'll see scores 8 minutes in, and it's 5-3 in the second TV timeout, scores that just don't happen during the regular season.
And a lot of times you don't see these scores as it's a unique time of year where it's do or die. I mean, this could potentially be the final game of the season for these teams. They don't have a shot at the NCAA tournament, so you get some increased intensity, particularly on the defensive side.
Yeah, ideally you get two either bubble teams or two teams that know the only way they're going dancing is if they win their conference tournament. They need the game like blood. They know it might be their very last game, and because of that, more energy is expanded on defense. And they're all in, and they're a little more careful on offense.
Another unique time for this time of year when it comes to conference tournaments, you got weekday early start times. How do you like to attack those?
Yeah, I love the early start time unders, and people that bet the NBA as well know what I'm talking about. Oftentimes, it not only is the backdrop poor, but you look at that backdrop, and now instead of the crowd being full, it's like 1/10 full, and you see a select person here, a row of people there. It's harder. You're creatures of habit. You're used to shooting into a backdrop that's full of people, and now you see just a backdrop full of empty seats. It throws you off.
Your second key betting tip, conference tournaments.
Look to back select big chalk. Now, I'm not a big guy that likes to lay 12, 13, 14 during the regular season, especially at the end of the regular season. But if there's a time to do it, it's oftentimes with a rested team off of a bye against an unrested team that had to play the night before in a conference tournament game that they needed like blood in order to advance and went all in the night before.
And kind of a subset of that, I like playing on teams that are rested against teams that are unrested off that big game the night before, and particularly if they're already 2-0 against that team in the regular season.
Yeah, I really think the media gets this one completely wrong. How often have you heard that? It's so hard to beat a team 3 times. As it turns out, it's difficult to beat them the second game when they have revenge. That's the game where the team goes ahead and circles the game. If you're the better team, well, if you're the team that's 1-0 and then you win again and you're 2-0, you're just better, bottom line. Villanova is better than Xavier. That's why they're 2-0, and that's where the maximum effort should have come in for the team that was 0-1. Not as big of an edge to have double revenge at 0-2.
What about hidden home court advantage?
Yeah, so the hidden home court advantage, oftentimes when you've got a big favorite, is maybe you've got a neutral site that both teams are traveling 150 miles. Well, who's going to travel? A number 8 or 9 seed to that game, or a number 1 seed? So the number 1 seed, you're going to get a lot more fans there, a lot more excitement knowing they can make that run and win that conference tournament, whereas the 8-9 seed that's oftentimes has had a terrible regular season, they're going to barely show. You're going to get a hidden home court for the better team.
And as far as playing on these number 1 and number 2 seeds in the conference tournaments, a little caveat, maybe a team like Kansas, maybe even a team like Virginia that might have questionable motivation because it's all about the NCAA tournament for them, and they've already pretty much locked up a number 1 or a number 2 seed. Let's go ahead and wrap it up, Fez.
Let's make it official. Look to play select unders in the conference tournaments, especially in early round games, especially in neutral sites where both teams must win to have any chance to dance. And consider laying select chalk in early rounds with rested teams versus teams that played the day before. The Fez math says most pros bet more on conference tournaments than they do on the big dance. More videos, pregame.com.